Alright guys, now this story is very, very emotional. Well, don't get crying on me. Don't be feeling like emotional. Don't feel sentimental. Understand that people go through things, and this is what I experienced. So, let's get started. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Trinity Sierra here. If you clicked on this video, you already know what we're going to be discussing today. Today is probably the longest awaited video that a lot of people kind of been wondering but haven't directly asked me about, and that is why I decided to keep my pregnancy secret. So this video, before we start, it might be a little long and it's very, very personal to me, but one of my subscribers and followers just shared something with me that I knew I couldn't just keep this story in. And I specifically knew I was going to share this story one day because this is the entire reason why I wanted to start YouTube. Just be honest, be authentic, and share. From a Christian girl to the rest of the world, this is my story. So, as many of y'all know, I am a mom. I am now a mom of two. One on the way, and I have a 1-year-old daughter. So my 1-year-old daughter is the love of my life, and I literally don't know where I would be without her. This story is kind of an emotional journey for me, and it was kind of very traumatic in the beginning, which is why I just decided to be closed off during my pregnancy instead of actually sharing it with the entire world. So I hope you guys learned something, and if you know someone going through it, just share their story with them, because this is what happened to me and I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. So when I found out I was pregnant, and I'm sorry you guys if we hear the lawn mowing or whatever, I know they're going to be cutting, but my daughter's sleeping right now, so I'm going to go ahead and get the story out. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know how to feel. Like, I was just like, what? Like, it took me kind of by surprise. Like, me and Trey, obviously we wanted to have a family, but the only thing was, like, we were long distance when I found out, and we actually weren't married yet. So you guys know already, being Christians, you all hear about don't have sex before you're married, or don't have a child out of wedlock. And so me and Trey, we both come from Christian families, and like we know the Bible, we live by the Bible. But at the end of the day, like, we aren't immune to sin, and we aren't immune to slip ups or fall downs, you know, like no one is. That's the life of Christianity. No one said it's going to be easy. But being me, like, I have a very, very strong view on just my beliefs and my values, and that's what makes it personal to me. So when I found out, I knew, like, oh my God, this is going to be a shock because I have lived my entire life in front of the church, in front of people, basically sharing the word of God and trying to be a light to others. But when this had happened, I didn't feel ashamed. I didn't feel guilty. I felt very scared. I felt scared because I knew my parents probably were going to be the one people, the key to everything exploding because of how strong they are in their faith. And it's not a problem having very grounded parents who are Christian believers, but it ended up being kind of like a problem for me, which is why I shut down. Meaning not getting too deep and getting too personal. But when I found out I was pregnant, I immediately knew, like, obviously I'm keeping my daughter. Didn't know it was a daughter at the time, but I knew because of everything that I've been through, honestly, this would be the greatest gift. And she has been. And I don't want to get emotional, but just sharing that my daughter has been the greatest gift of my life. Next to my husband, of course, but, so yeah. When I found out, honestly, I'm going to be honest and be open to my parents because they're my parents. And when I initially told them, it kind of took our relationship from good to very toxic and very bad. And by that, I mean, like, they didn't approve. And as soon as I think Christian parents find out you're pregnant, they try to push you towards a marriage. And me and Trey were already preparing to get married. We are already talking about when our engagement would be. I mean, you know, that's what we already talking about. So we already had plans to get married. So we're in the midst of planning all that. But at the same time, having my parents know now did not make it any easier. And instead of being like having it as a celebration and being great and wonderful, it ended up being very hard. It was a very depressing time for me, and I really felt extremely alone. I remember till this day, my mom said, "This is nothing to celebrate about, and you need to get on your knees and beg for God's forgiveness." I was, you guys, that was just one statement of so many more that just kept coming. And, you know, when I thought it would just last a week, I was like, okay, whatever, but it didn't. It lasted a few months. And really, like, it never got really better because I wasn't married. So it didn't really get better. It's like when I would go to church, I would put on like sweatpants and long t-shirts, and it's like 90 degrees outside, but it didn't matter because what I didn't feel before, now I did. So I didn't feel ashamed. I felt very angry. I felt alone. I felt misunderstood. I didn't feel like the people who should have supported me were, and they weren't. Yeah, like they look out for you and they make sure everything's okay, but it was like constant, basically crap I received every day, and it hurt, and I got very stressed, and it was very, very, very just rocky for a very long time. So I began to pray because I was like, God, like, honestly, I'm losing faith in you. I've known you my entire life. I knew this was coming when I decided to make the choice, and everyone has a choice, just to throw that out there. But you know, I graduated college, I made it through life, like getting married was the next step. So why would I not, you know, make this choice to keep my daughter? Why? Was what was going through my mind. And instead of getting down and praying about it and coming together and sharing it, it was like, you know what, we're not going to tell anyone, and that's going to be that. They would be ashamed. They would be disgraced. They wouldn't understand, and they would all look at me. And I was just like, this has nothing to do with you. But that's what I was told. So I started to feel like, what? So literally, I didn't feel comfortable sharing it with anyone. I didn't take pictures. I didn't take maternity pictures until literally 2 weeks before my daughter was due. And I didn't post them. I didn't share that I was pregnant. I didn't leave the house much. I didn't talk to really much anyone. I think 4 of my friends found out right before my wedding because they threw me a bachelorette party. And they decided to have champagne and, you know, wine and just toast. And I was like, no, I'm good, like the entire night. And then when we decided to just toast and share heart-to-heart messages and stuff, I decided just to tell them. And I remember that day like it was yesterday because I initially just started to feel very, very overwhelmed. I held in this secret for 6 months or 5 months, and no one knew. My boss didn't know, and I saw her every day. We worked together, and it hurt because this should have been the moment of my life where it's very exciting and you're having baby showers and you're telling everyone, and it just didn't happen for me. So I remember it like I started crying. I was just so happy that someone finally appreciated it and celebrated it and told me, like, you know, Trinity, you didn't do anything wrong. Because during this time I started to lose my faith in God. I started to be like, you know what, God probably isn't real. And that was probably the most detrimental stage I was in, is, well, I know God allows things to happen, and I know God allows all these tragic stories in the Bible to happen, but God, what did I do to deserve this? To deserve to feel ashamed or disgraced from my parents, to feel unwelcome in my own house every single day? Like, It wasn't like I was living off of, like I'm literally working. I'm in a great relationship. I'm going to church. I'm going to Bible study every week. I'm going to BSF, just Bible study fellowship. Like, I'm plugged into so much already. What did I do to not feel loved? Did I lose your love? I didn't know if God was angry with me. So it really took a turn on me, and it was very stressful, and I didn't know what to do. So the only thing that I felt comfortable with was coping in private, and that meant not sharing it with people. And when it came out is literally when my daughter was born. And it wasn't when my daughter was actually born. It was like a few months after she was born, because I wanted to have that time to actually be happy, be free of all that crap that I went through, because feeling that my daughter shouldn't be celebrated, or my daughter should have never happened, like all those feelings of other people, I didn't need that. I didn't even need my parents around, because I knew this was a gift from God for me and my husband, and I knew that she would be the changing point, the turning point, the breaking point, the new birthing point for us. And she is. And she is the light of our lives. And if you follow me, if you know me personally, you know I don't play no games when it comes to my family and when it comes to my daughter. And y'all might see me, y'all might not. And this is a part of why, because I'm so closed off because of what I went through. Not sharing too much, because I don't want you guys to feel like I was a victim or I went through something and, hate the people that put me through it, because I don't. I forgive and I move on. And so that's really what has happened. And so I decided not to share my pregnancy with everyone, because I felt condemned. And I didn't want to kind of lose, like the faith. I didn't want to lose the love of other people in case they were just like my parents, I just wanted to still be, that's Trinity, in everyone's eyes. And it wasn't until my daughter came out that I realized the enemy knows how to work. He knows how to work. And I will forever have a scar of what I went through because of what he did. I don't think till this day they fully can understand what happened, and they fully can understand where it happened, because apparently, I have mommy issues now or whatever, and I don't. I just know who to talk to and who not to talk to. I know what to share and what not to share, and that's just it. Because now I'm a mom myself, and now I understand, and I would never wish that on anyone. If you guys feel alone, please reach out to someone. Please talk to someone, because I don't know, if I didn't have Trey, I don't know what would have happened. I would have lost my mind. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good emotionally. It's not good at all. So I made the choice, and I just want to let you all know that it wasn't a choice that I regret. If everything happened all over again, I would still choose my daughter over everything else. I just want to let you all know that no one is immune to falling short, and no one is immune to basically living their life. Like, what I went through and the consequences I faced, they are the consequences that I faced because of the decisions that I made, period. I'm not glorifying pregnancy before you get married. I'm not glorifying sex before you get married. I'm letting you all know what happened to me, and that is my story, and I don't think it's above anyone else. And I just wanted to share, because I know a lot of people struggle, and a lot of people are alone, and a lot of people go through this but never share it. After the fact, so many of the mothers, the Christian mothers, the grounded Christian mothers who have experienced pregnancy and decided really, not to go through with it, reached out to me and told me, you were in a position where you made a choice, and I respect that. And it wasn't just one person, it wasn't just 2 people, it wasn't just 3 people. I mean, so many people started coming out, and I respect that 100%. And it literally made me cry because I was like, well, I needed this during my pregnancy. And I really wish more Christian moms would be open and share what they went through, instead of condemning their children when they slip up, or condemning their child when they do anything. They stay out late, or they go to a bar, or they go to the movies and they're lying about their whereabouts. Like, I wish they would be more honest with what they're going through, because we need honesty more than we need tradition or what the Bible wants us to do. We need to know that people actually struggle with this too, because if people shared, do you know how many people would be saved? Do you know how many babies would be saved? When people make you feel unwanted, no one wants to experience that. So as a community, I'm asking everyone just come together, because I know what I went through, and it changed a lot of my relationships with people. Like, it changed how I look at life, it changed my perspective, and sometimes I struggle with my beliefs because of my experience. And I don't want that to happen to anyone. So please, I just want everyone to just be honest and share your story, because you don't know who's going to help. So to wrap all of that up, no one knew, and no one knew until my daughter came out, and a lot of people were angry that they didn't know. And honestly, I didn't know how to handle that, because for you to be angry, I get it, but don't be angry with my decision. You know, my decision after it was basically put on me to not share it. And don't be angry with anyone who chooses not to share something with you. It doesn't matter how close you are, because you don't know what they're experiencing. And it wasn't just that. It was so much stuff that happened during my pregnancy, from my daughter having syndrome scare, to having bright spots on her heart, to it was some other thing. It was just every week or every other month, it was just very scary for me. So I just, you know, your very first time being pregnant, you get very anxious, and you get very scared. And honestly, I was terrified. And so the best way I know how is to keep everything in until I can't keep it in anymore. So, long story short, that's what happened. And you know, when it came out, it's going to hurt people regardless, because a lot of people might feel entitled to your life, or a lot of people might be very close to you and not be able to cope or understand why. But honestly, I don't think it's something to destroy relationships. I feel like everyone has their own story, and you just got to be patient with everyone to share. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my story of why I honestly decided to hide my pregnancy. I decided to hide it because I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel supported, I didn't feel understood. I felt alone, I felt scared, I felt overwhelmed. I lost sight of myself. As strong and courageous and fearful as I am, or fearless, I kind of shriveled up into a 2-year-old girl who needed her parents but didn't have that. So now I know, now I know that it doesn't matter what anyone does around you. You honestly have to look to God for everything you do, anything you do. Because sometimes you're going to have your family support, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to have your friends support, sometimes you're not. But that shouldn't stop you from being who you are. So I hope you have enjoyed my testimony, my story of why I just didn't share it, and why I decided to just keep it a secret for literally 9 months. And I hope you understand. I hope you understand that I'm not above everyone else. I'm a Christian, but I struggle, and I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not at all. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you have gotten something from it. And if you did enjoy this video, please like it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if you have enjoyed it, if you have experienced this, if you have friends who have experienced this. So I honestly can be praying for them, because it made me emotionally unstable, and so I understand everything that they're going through. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.